In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hi guys, how are you doing today? Oh, it's been a long one. You've landed at Surviving Together, a safe space for trauma survivors and to connect on their healing journeys and form a sense of community, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. Gosh, that was hard to get out. I have been on a webinar for the past 4.5 hours, so apologies, guys, if I look a little tired. This may be a little bit shorter of a live. And my mic, it seems, has stopped working in the middle of the webinar, so I am just using what I have here. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a 5x5 if you can hear me. Okay, Crystal can hear me, so I'm going to assume the rest of you guys can hear me. My son is playing his music downstairs. If you guys can hear the bass from it, which is what I can hear, let me know if you can, if it's bothersome, and I can get him to turn it off. So I apologize for any ambient noise. I have no idea what's going on with my microphone, so I'm going to have to try and work on that before Wednesday's live. Thank you to everyone who submitted t-shirts for the Clothesline project. That is in the works of getting that all together so that next Saturday, a week from today, on National Hangout Day, we can provide you with a montage of all the t-shirts that were put together for it and put up our virtual clothesline. Excited about that. Let's see, who do we have here? We have Mustang Mike, Kermel, Crystal, Chris the Flash. Thank you guys all for joining me this afternoon at this little bit later of a time. Diadri Gore, thank you. I know this is a little bit later for you. I apologize for that, but like I said, I was on a webinar for trauma that Sapria organization put on. It was really good. It was a lot of basic information I already knew. However, you know, if you have not been watching my channel and have not seen any of my trauma and ... trauma in the body, what is trauma, all that kind of stuff. It was pretty new information, so it was great. Cosmic's got her live right now. Yeah, I took a risk on either canceling this or just moving it to later. I decided I still wanted to have it. I did change the subject at the last minute. Apologies for that, guys. But some things came up in the webinar that I thought, I'd rather cover that today than wait. So while it's fresh on my mind and I just went through it, I wanted to make sure to do it. Just a note, we will be keeping next week to just an hour on Wednesday, because at 7 o'clock Eastern time, I will be going on Big Jack's story time. Carmel, if you could find that link and drop it in, I'd really appreciate it. So Big Jack story time at 7 o'clock. So we'll be going live at our normal time at 6. We'll just be ending a few minutes before 7 so that I can scoot on over there and get mic'd up and everything for that show. That's exciting. And then our live on Saturday, that's going to be great too. So dealing with some self-defense and with some, sorry about that, guys, self-defense and putting our clothesline project out. Whew. Might be a little bit short of a live, depending on how long I'm able to last today. I do have some things that I want to share with you from the webinar. And one of the things that came up was the concept of shame. Sapria deals with all things childhood sexual trauma related. And some people like me were a little farther along in their healing journey, were comfortable talking about this. Some people were just at the very beginning of their healing journey and had only recently started to talk about their experiences, all ages. And the thing that was pervasive, though, was this feeling of shame. And I think that can go for a lot of different traumas, not just childhood sexual trauma, but since it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, I am going to be speaking about it in the context of it stemming from childhood sexual trauma. But like I said, it can come from any type of childhood trauma. So I wanted to speak first off about how does shame manifest itself later on in life. You know, a lot of times we push down, compartmentalize our trauma and try not to think about it. And it seeps out at different times, right? And one of the ways that it seeps out is just in our negative self-talk. Feelings of shame very much are going to be self-judgmental. It can form part of our identity in terms of how we feel about ourselves. And that can affect how you relate to other people, whether they're friends, whether it's family, whether it's romantic relationships. The feelings of shame can be so intense that we can not want to talk about our experiences because of that shame that we feel. And if you do, it's really important that we try and break through that barrier. You hear me say often on here, if you've been with me for any length of time, that your shame, those feelings of shame, those feelings of guilt, that blame that we take on ourselves from any sort of sexual trauma should not be on our shoulders. You did not ask for the sexual trauma. I don't care if you were a child and you were agreeing with it, if you even liked the sexual acts. You can't consent at that age. So you didn't ask for this to be perpetrated upon you. And we need to put that blame, put that shame, put that guilt where it belongs, which is on our abusers. But it can stop us from speaking our truths because of societal stigmas about being a sexual assault survivor, fear of being judged, because of what we've gone through, being looked at differently. And we had some exercises that we went through that I thought were pretty interesting. So if you see me looking around here a lot, I'm bopping back and forth between several different screens, some stuff that I got from the webinar. If you guys are interested in going through the webinar, it is free. You just have to sign up at sapria.org. There's an application process. It's pretty intense. It doesn't take too long, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that, to go through, because they do vet people who want to be part of the program to make sure that they're there for the right reasons and they're going to be respectful of others and keep others' confidence, those sorts of things. But it really is a good kind of baseline of what trauma is, how it affects us, and going through some coping skills, grounding techniques, things like that, that I would absolutely encourage anybody who wants to go ahead and sign up. Hi, Todd. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Aquarius, thank you for joining us this afternoon, almost, well, evening here now, early evening. One of the comments that was made that, goes along with what I'm saying about how the shame does not belong on our shoulders. Shame is a learned behavior. It's a coping skill. It's a reactive mechanism to things that are said to us, things that are done to us, the ways that we're made to feel. No one is born with shame. And that little sentence really struck me. No one is born with shame. So the fact that we can take it on as our identity, feeling like a lesser being because of these shameful feelings, is so harmful to us because it inhibits our growth. And it has no business being in any healthy relationship. And again, relationships can be friendships, it can be platonic, or they can be romantic. I want to share my screen real quick. Let's see if I can get this right. There we go. So here's a piece of what was presented today, and I really thought that this encompassed a lot of, where does shame come from? How do we develop shame? And it can be from, like I said, from different types of trauma, but things that can lead to shame: separation, isolation, disconnection, cultural preferences for certain identities, depending on the environment that you grow up in, childhood emotional, physical, and or sexual abuse, addiction, mental illness, screaming in the childhood home. I don't know about you guys, but that was a big one in mine. Lots and lots of screaming. Growing up in an environment where your childhood needs aren't met, where your boundaries are constantly violated, and breaking of the interpersonal bridge. Basically, this is where your interpersonal relationships are constantly severed. Okay, let me take that off here. So some of the questions that kind of came out of this discussion about shame, and I'm really interested to hear what any of you who are in the chat might have to say about this, is how has shame impacted your life? How does shame impact how you treat yourself or how you treat others? I know for myself, the negative self-talk that I would engage in as a result of that shame was very significant. Whether it was I wasn't good enough, that was always a big one for me. I felt that, by constantly being put down, by constantly not having the things that I have done be recognized as achievements rather than, well, why didn't you do this? It made me much more of a people pleaser at the expense of my own emotions, at the expense of my own needs. Shame's always been a huge issue for you, Crystal. Yeah, I know and something you and I have spoken about, and I know you've spoken about in here. And for me, I dealt with shame about feeling that I was a victim because of my first instance of abuse, not being able to remember all the details and feeling bad about myself and questioning whether anything ever did happen, even though in my core, I just felt like I knew that it did. But I couldn't pull those memories out. I couldn't pull any visions out. And so I was like, did it really happen? And then when I had child on child abuse, one, at the time, I didn't realize that it was actually abuse, that a child on child abuse thing was actually a thing. So again, I was feeling like I was making it up. Hey, Tommy, how are you doing? Thanks for dropping by this afternoon. Hope your dinner goes well. I felt like, again, I wasn't permitted to feel like I was a victim at all. And on top of that, just that situation, I felt like I asked for it. I enjoyed it when it happened. I was 6. Your body just reacts. I didn't know any different to think about it as abuse. So I was willingly participating in it. And the shameful feelings that came thereafter, that I carried with me for a long, long time, until I learned that it really was abuse and was able to frame those acts in that context. I felt like I was such a horrible human being. How could I let this happen? How could I agree to that? And when I learned that it was abuse, again, then I don't have a right to call myself a victim of abuse because I was willing. I agreed. But the fact is, I was too young to be able to put it in any other context. And to so feel bad about myself, to feel shame because of that, was misplaced. So I had to learn as to my role in that situation and understand that it wasn't my fault. It was still abuse. But for me, that didn't come till much later on. And jump ahead a number of years until I was about 10, 11, somewhere in there. And I had an adult on child situation. And this is when I talked to my mom, and my mom's like, he's just trying to see how far he gets. Just don't worry about it. Stay away from him. Just, don't talk to him. Go to your room, whatever, and I felt again like I must have brought this on. I must have done something. Why me? I'm making a big deal out of it. I'm making a big deal out of nothing. It's not a concern to my mom, so therefore it shouldn't be a concern to me. And so all of that negative self-talk and that judgment upon me and my feelings that I was a victim, conflicting with the feelings of, well, no, I shouldn't feel this way, messed with my head for a long, long time. With that last incident, it wasn't until I was really able to see my mom's role and how she didn't have the tools to deal with what was going on. She did not know what to do. And for her, since it wasn't a serious act, it was easier just to, okay, let's just separate that from anything future and you're good. Not realizing how much what did happen affected me. When I was able to see that and see why she did what she did and let go of my anger towards her and my hurt feelings towards her, it was only at that point that I was able to lift that shame from me. I was able to see the acts clearly as to what happened, as to my role in it, which was just being there. Again, I didn't ask for it. And that allowed me then to free myself of the shame that I felt for not only on one hand feeling like I invited it, because when he said, let's play a game, I'm like, yeah, sure. Not knowing what that game was, where it was going to lead. So these are a lot of things that, really came up today. That's how I learned to identify the shame that I felt in each of those situations. And I had to. It wasn't just an overall feeling of shame because I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse. I had to look at each of those instances because they're kind of separate in my mind because they each deal with a different perpetrator and each at a very distinct time period in my life, in my childhood. When I got to analyze each one of them and reconcile what happened with what I should be feeling, what I didn't need to feel, then I was able to let go of that shame. I was able to let go of the blame and the guilt that I carried because of it and be able to say, all of that belongs directly on my abusers. They are the ones who stepped over the line. They are the ones who should carry this shame and carry this guilt and blame, not me. Hi, Varshna. How are you? Welcome to the SAS community. I'm glad you're here today. Peyton Samuels, thank you for dropping by. I'm really glad that you're here as well. Strength to you, and many survive these things. We do. Thank you, Tommy. We persevere. And my wish, my hope for each survivor out there from childhood trauma, whether it's sexual, physical, or emotional abuse, who has suffered shame or continues to suffer shame because of what they went through, so that they are able to look at your situation and say, I was just a kid. The shame does not belong on you. You can let go of that. And it's mighty powerful to be able to do that. And everyone who has suffered childhood trauma in any form, you are true survivors. You are strong. And I'm proud of you, no matter where you are in your healing journey, because you've made it this far. No matter what's happened in the interim between that trauma and your adult life now, no matter what you've gone through, it doesn't matter how poorly, quote unquote, we might have dealt with our trauma, all the negative coping skills that we've learned because we didn't know any better. We didn't have any role models to be able to pattern healthy relationships off of. We didn't have anyone to teach us what positive coping skills were, how to deal with trauma in a healthy way. So we do the best we can. And each and every one of you who have been through childhood trauma, kudos to you. You're here, no matter where you are in your healing journey. Hi, Body. How are you? Glad you're here. And there you are, Mysterious Mayo. I knew there was somebody else who popped in that I didn't see. Varshna, you still have those times where you're questioning if you gave them that power. Am I wrong somewhere? It is something that can plague us for a while. And I'm here to tell you, no, you didn't. You were vulnerable. You're a child. We don't have the skills. We don't have the knowledge to be able to deal with our situation any different. And don't kid yourself. Abusers are master manipulators. No matter what context it's in, no matter what kind of childhood trauma you suffered, whether you call it manipulation, gaslighting, being able to identify vulnerable victims, they're good. So just as my counselor, when I was a young woman, gave me permission to say, I'm a survivor. I did the best I could. I didn't ask for this. The shame doesn't belong on me. I'm telling you the same thing. Release yourself from that. Now, shame brings about a whole host of negative feelings that we can talk ourselves into. or that may go through our brains. And we can deal with those, but there's no need to feel shame. Absolutely none whatsoever. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat whining. I haven't fed him yet, and he's mad. This is my lazy fat cat. Sorry about that, guys. Hang on. I want to scroll down here. So there was an interesting, and I've seen this before, but the way it was explained to me made a lot of sense. And it's called the diffusion technique. And it can be used with any sort of negative feelings. But let's take shame. Let's take it in the concept of the context of saying, I'm not good enough, right? That's our first statement. That's our feeling. Because of our shame, we're feeling, I'm not good enough. Well, that is a statement of self-identity. That is a statement of self-judgment. What we want to do is diffuse that, break it apart. And so the next two things that we need to say out loud are very important. It's important to say it out loud. Words have power, words have meaning, and they are so much more powerful when we speak them out of our mouth. Whether that's to the mirror, whether it's to the wall, doesn't matter. Then say to yourself, I'm having the thought of not feeling good enough. So we're taking that feeling of not being good enough, we're taking it off of our self-identity. We're separating it from ourselves and saying, I'm having the thought of, because that you are not good enough is not a fact. It's a thought that we're having because of feelings that are inside. So separate that from yourself. I'm having the thought of not feeling good enough. And then take it one step further and put that thought farther out in front of you and say, I'm noticing I'm having the thought of not feeling good enough. And by that statement, you're kind of putting that feeling at arm's length. Imagine it's kind of on a placard or something. And you're saying, I'm noticing this. Okay. I'm noticing that I'm having this feeling. Now, what do I do with it? Toss it away. You are good enough. You're doing what you can to get through right now. You are good enough. And that's our healing statement. And you can use this with whatever thought that you're feeling. Is there any sort of thought that anyone thinks that this could be helpful or useful for? I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. Any of those negative thoughts that we have, we can use this with. Separate those thoughts from a sense of it being part of your identity. Because at your core, you are you, and you are beautiful. You are enough. You are worthy. And this is part of finding our authentic self, that person that we are underneath all the crap that's been put upon us and all of the negative feelings that we have because of it. And discover who you are, who you really are. Hi, Seventh. How are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Did I miss anybody else? I just saw some comments, but I wasn't sure if anyone else dropped. So, no, I think just Seventh. One of the other things going along with this, because of the shame, because of how heavy it weighs upon us, because of how negatively it makes us feel about ourselves. We spoke today a lot about self-compassion and about being able to practice self-compassion. Some people call it giving ourselves grace. And there's three main components to self-compassion: common humanity, self-kindness, and mindfulness. First off, what is self-compassion? What do I mean by practicing self-compassion? Self-compassion is practicing grace to yourself, giving yourself the goodwill that you would give to others. It's not about feeling good. It's not about being happy. It's about acknowledging that we are doing the best that we can. Being gentle on yourself. Yes, that's another good way of putting it. Absolutely, Crystal. Practice of self-compassion, the aim is to soothe our suffering, alleviate some of the pain that we feel inside because of these negative views that we have of ourselves. Sorry, guys, my lips are really dry. I've been talking. I've been stuck in this office for 4.5 hours, 5 hours now. So what do we mean by common humanity? In terms of self-compassion, common humanity is about seeing ourselves in others. It's about connecting with others. It's realizing that we're not alone. When we can see that others have gone through similar experiences, that others have suffered the way that we have, and that they are still who they are, that they're still existing, that they're still fighting, oftentimes that can allow us to be more graceful with ourselves. Self-kindness, and I'm going to put this up on the screen in a minute, but so self-kindness, it's just what it says. It's encouraging ourselves to be nice to us. Treat yourself how you would treat your good friend, or how you would like to be treated by others. So instead of allowing that negative talk to take over how we feel, let's think of ourselves and let's treat ourselves as the good person that we truly are, that our authentic selves really are. And I really liked this. I'm going to share this with you. Hopefully it pops up right. Here we go. So some statements of self-kindness, things that you can say to yourself when you're feeling not good about yourself, or when those negative thoughts are running rampant. I'm doing the best I can right now, and that's enough. I'm allowed to make mistakes and move forward from them. What do I need right now? This is recognizing that you're hurting, that you're suffering. Those negative thoughts are making you feel a certain way. So what do you need? What would make you feel better? Acknowledging this is really difficult for me right now. I'm having a hard time dealing with this. Say to yourself, it's natural to feel this way. Healing is a journey. It's not linear. Even when we think we've healed from things, stuff pops up, life happens, and it is 100% natural to feel down on ourselves, to feel bad about ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we need to believe it. Telling yourself that there is hope, that there are possibilities out there. There are things that I can do to cope with this. Mike's mom said, it's always important to have compassion. Absolutely. And how many of you out there can find yourself easily giving compassion to somebody else? But when it comes to ourselves, turning that inward and giving ourselves that same compassion, treating ourselves as compassionately as we would somebody else who was hurting, who was suffering, that can be really difficult. I want each of you guys to follow along with this. Hi, Awakened. Oh, thanks for bringing everyone from Cosmic. Glad that you guys got your live in. Yeah, I'm at a weird time for me, right? But that seminar had to take precedence. I had to get that done. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be allowed on the retreat. So now it's just a matter of being able to figure out an airplane ticket and timing, because times don't work very well from here getting over to there at the times that they want me to. So I may have to go in a day early and leave a day late. So trying to figure out that. And when I do, then I can actually schedule a date for the retreat. So we will see. It's a Monday through Thursday. So whenever I end up doing that, I will have to cancel the Wednesday live. I can't imagine being able to do it from the retreat. Although I might be able to find a small little spot and just kind of come on and tell you how things are going. So we'll see. Hi, James. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. I think you were on a little bit earlier, but I was tied up with the seminar, so I didn't get a chance to see if you were live or whether you just posted something. So here's an exercise I want to do in terms of treating yourself kindly, treating yourself with compassion. The first step is think to a time when you were feeling shame, when you were feeling inadequate, not good enough. Think about that time. Try and pick something specific that you remember so that you can recall exactly how you were feeling in that moment. Where were you? How were you feeling physically? How were you feeling emotionally? What was going on around you? And really have a sense of what that moment was like for you. Then think about what would you want to have had said to you at that moment? What would you have liked to have done to you at that moment? Would you have liked a hug? Would you have liked just acknowledgement that you were hurting? Would you like someone to say, it's okay, I understand? Would you have liked someone just to say, I love you? You are good enough? Really craft in your mind what would have eased your pain at that moment? What would have helped you and made you feel better? And they call this crafting your inner companion. Now, some of you may be in touch with your inner child, and you can project this stuff onto them. You can pretend that it's your inner child who's speaking to you. If otherwise, it's just a thought of having somebody else with you. And what would they do? What would they say? And then think all of those things. Think about your inner companion saying those things to you. Feel that love, feel that understanding. And whatever it is that you need in that particular moment, when you're going through something rough, when you're thinking about yourself poorly, what would make you feel better? And then imagine that inner companion coming out and doing those things, saying those things to you. And so this is a way of being able to treat ourselves with kindness. This really resonated with me. I know a lot of us tend to self-isolate, although I do live with someone. He's not here all the time, and I don't expect him to take on that sort of role for me. So to be thinking about somebody that I can go to at any particular time, who's always going to be with me, and being able to treat myself with kindness, treat myself the way I would somebody else. If I had a friend who was hurting, what would I be doing? How would I be treating them? Would I be judging them? No. Would I be treating them from a place of love? Yes. And so that's a way of being able to give ourselves grace, to treat ourselves gently. The other part of self-compassion is mindfulness, and being able to do anything to ground yourself in the current here and now. And we just don't mean here on Saturday this evening. We mean here this Saturday at 5:53 p.m., this moment exactly. Not thinking about anything else that needs to happen, not even 6 minutes from now. What is going on for me right now? And we can practice our grounding techniques. Any of those things that we've talked about, breathing, dancing, exercise, going for a walk, just wiggling every part of our body and just thinking about how that's feeling. Close your eyes and think about, how does that feel? Where does it jiggle? What body part am I moving? Anything to focus yourself on the here and now, the task that is exactly right in front of you. Hey, Davey, how you doing? Thanks for coming by. That's awesome, Misha. I'll look for it. I've got a short that'll be coming out tonight too. It's not my best work, but it was a challenge. I was challenged to put something out about my pets, so you'll get something later on. There were a couple of exercises, though, that I hadn't really thought of in terms of being grounding techniques. And they're called cognitive tasks. So anything that's really going to make you think about what you are doing at that particular moment. One of the things they recommended is just make a list. They had us make a list of breakfast foods. Make a list of everything that's in the room right now. Make a list of every part of a car that you can remember. And do that for 2 minutes. Set a timer or something. And you are solely focused on that one task. And that is going to ground us to the present time and exclude everything else. Hey, Cosmic, how you doing? Oh, yay, Misha. That's awesome. Hey, Jen Marie. I hope you got my message today. I was thinking about you. The other one that I hadn't thought of, that for me, oh, wow, is this going to be my go-to, especially if I'm at my desk and if I need grinding, if I need grounding, if getting up and taking a walk isn't going to do it, and if breathing techniques aren't working, if my head's still too scattered, they said, try and write something. Pick a sentence, go on Google, whatever, just pick anything, but try and write it with your non-dominant hand. If anyone has tried to write with the hand that they don't normally write with, you can attest to how much effort it takes, how much focus it takes to write those numbers or letters with somewhat of a precision. You have to be focused on that one thing. So for me, that was like, I think that's going to be a go-to for me. The other thing that was said, and it's not like I don't think about it, but I think it's important to really mention, is that, we talk about how we're all individuals. How many times I'm going to say grind instead of ground? The grounding techniques that we've talked about, they're not going to work for everybody. But more than that, they may not work for you every time. If something's not working, you may have to switch to a different technique at that particular moment. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing abnormal about having to do that. Certain things in certain situations and how you're feeling at that particular moment, that technique may not work. So just move on to another one until you find one that does. And that was a really helpful reminder for me. Yeah, I'm an individual. Things that don't work for me aren't going to work for you. But to keep in mind that it may not always be the same thing that is going to work for me. It could be the exact same type of situation, but a different day. You've had different experiences. You're in a different mind space. So therefore, makes sense. This might not work then. Davey says, I also like the spokes on a wheel visualization. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. There's so many grounding techniques that you can use. If this is something that you guys want to do a whole show about, we can. I know I've put it together with other shows with trauma, dealing with trauma, coping mechanisms. But just going over grounding techniques is definitely something that we can do at some point. So let me know. Put it in the comments. Is grounding technique something that you would like to cover? Would this be helpful? Do you have a favorite grounding technique? Are there several that are your go-tos? What are they? Because every time people mention stuff, I'll hear one more that, oh, I didn't know about that. And that's one more that I can put in my arsenal for when I need it. So really be interested to hear what you guys have to say on this. Also, was this exercise of thinking about an inner companion helpful to anybody out there? I'm sorry if you can hear my cat. It really was for me. And it's something that I'm going to be working on. I engage in self-talk, but the thought of having somebody else speaking to me, having it almost be outside myself, and feeling that love from somebody else, feeling that understanding from somebody else. Just that thought, just that concept brings me peace. When I did the exercise, it brought me peace. So I can see that for me working in the future. But I would need to be able to do this exercise thinking about the different types of negative thoughts that I have and kind of prepping for it. So when that situation comes up, my inner companion already knows what to say. My inner companion has a sense of what I might need at that moment. And so I can just go, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Inner companion, what do you have to say? And there's going to be some automatic things then that are going to come back at me. Self-love, self-compassion, self-kindness. Really, really important. Hi, Indigo. How are you? Glad you're here today. Did I miss anybody? Okay, it looks like several people would like to talk about grounding techniques. Please, 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 if you could, put those in the comments afterwards because I do get all of your comments and I want to kind of have an idea of who and what. You can just copy your comment that you made right here, Mayo. One other thing that was said, I wrote it down because I was just like, that is so true. Hello, Somebody's hungry. I thought I wrote it down. Oh, I might have like written it down. Oh, here. We can't heal what we can't feel. I love that little phrase. And I love this guy. And he is adamant that he gets fed here soon. Goofball. Goofball. Fat little kitty. Oh my gosh. Hey, Co-Train, what's going on? Glad you dropped by. Yes, this is Tigger for all of you. He is my fat lazy cat. He's the one who wait for the toy to come near him and then swat at it instead of jumping. He wants to play the easiest way possible, and he's letting me know in no uncertain terms he is hungry. Okay, show everyone your butt. That's nice. So if you could either come back once the video is posted and put your comments in, or just wait a minute after the outro's done. I know it's still a little long, but I just love the song so much. But I'm going to shorten it by probably about 45 seconds. I've been looking for a good place in the song to cut it off without it sounding like right, and just like all of a sudden it ends. And I think I found a spot, so I will definitely be doing that. Yeah, Indigo, anything that you ideas that you have in terms of future shows, different topics that you want to talk about, please drop them in the comments. Mayo, I encourage you to check out a few of my trauma shows. I can't off the top of my head think of the one that I talked about with coping mechanisms. It might be trauma effects. But I have dealt with them, so that you will find some that are on that. And that also sounds like a good video that I should make. I think I'm pretty well established in doing my lives. Got to get a little better about not leaving my research for the last minute, because I tend to focus on everything else that's in front of me, and then all of a sudden it's Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, and I'm like, I gotta get my stuff done for the live. And that is one of the main reasons why the videos have not happened. But we'll see if I can actually cut and paste from one of my videos. If I spoke for long enough on it without getting sidetracked, I might be able to do that and put that as a video. I'm learning slowly video editing. It takes me a long time. It took me probably 2.5 hours this morning to put together this little short that has music and it has words on the screen at different parts of the video. I'm so proud of myself. For some of you, it's child's play, and it's like, I could have done that in 15 minutes, right? For me, it took a long time. I had to figure out how to do everything. But that being said, I've done it once now, I can do it again. I'm convinced. So we'll definitely we'll definitely get better at it. I have to. I have to. Yeah, Indigo, shoot me another email this week if you would. I just went through my emails today, and hopefully you got the email that I shot you today, because my response got lost in the drafts. Oops. Could have sworn that I hit send on that, and I didn't. It's going to be a pretty busy work week this week, but I'll see what I can work out. But having that in front of me and having it at the top of the list there is really going to help me. So I'd appreciate it. So shoot me an idea as to times that work for you. Let me know whether you're on Eastern time, Central time, whatever, so that it's easier in doing that scheduling. And we'll figure something out. So with that, guys, I am going to bid you adieu today. I hope today was helpful. Not quite as put together as I normally am with things, but it was kind of a last minute thought from what I went through, things that got covered in the in my webinar. And right now I'm pretty exhausted, having been on the computer with the webinar since noon. So please enjoy this outro. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I am going to pick up my best friend tomorrow and meet his sister in person for the first time. So I'm really excited about that. So I get my bestie back for at least a few days, maybe a little longer. Depends on how long it takes them to fix the bike and get it all up and running. Thank you, Awaken. Thank you for reminding about that. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell for all notifications. You make sure you get notifications when my lives are. And as well as share this out if you think anybody needs to hear this message. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Remember, you are worthy. You are loved for who you are, just the way you are. And you are valuable. I got that in a little bit different of an order because I'm really, really tired. And I'm sorry about that, guys. But remember, surviving together, never alone. Hugs and love from me. Mwah. Thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you on Wednesday.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain. But we stand, we rise again. Stronger now, we break the chain. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, but warriors too. With love as our armor, we see this through. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together, hearts open wide, we see